Hey guys, what's going on? Different type of video for you today. So the video is basically, it's from stream mostly. I want to break it down here, give you guys a little bit of a lowdown, tell you what it's about. So I started going on a little bit of a tangent about what MLB the Show 23 or 24 or just games in the future need to do and which game they should follow strategy-wise to make these games feel fulfilling and like there's some sort of sense of purpose. Basically, how to kind of divvy up between the competitive try-hard players and the casual, more relaxed players, not to merge the two and try and make both happy in one mode and just make separate modes for each and make them both really good. It goes a little bit all over the place, but hopefully it makes a little bit of sense in this context. If it doesn't, let me know. I'm trying my best to make all types of different content for you guys to enjoy. And in the background, there's some gameplay. So let's hop into it, man. Let's see what you guys think. Hopefully this made sense. To me, it did. They've dropped a ton of cards that are super usable and actually time consuming to get. I don't know if that makes good content because that's just good cards. I think this falls into the logical issue that they're having, or the philosophical issue that I think they're having with content. They think that their content is just cards. I think it's a lot more than that, right? It's about how you get them. And if the grinds feel extremely uninteresting or it's repetitive, that's why a lot of people don't want to do them. And like, I think at this point of the year, we're just sick of the offline repeat. I do agree that like a couple things they did really well. I think Extreme was nice and well fit. I think that the Lightning program, this most recent one, was great. I think it might be a little too late. You have to like do a lot to make sure you get people trusting you again with content drops. Yeah, I like sets and seasons. I just wish they did more with it. I just think that making sets and seasons about a collectathon is not the right way, personally. I think it should be about using the players online. Because like I said, right now we're grinding offline a ton to get cards from collections to go do what with them? Go into ranks to get cards that aren't as good. It just feels weird. Yeah, I think Wordman just said, I think a nice way to fix this also, like the captains for pitching, make it a little bit more balanced, because right now hitting captains way outpace pitching captains. I feel like you need to make it so, yeah, if they're in your rotation, they have a 100% stamina regeneration rate. If they're not in your rotation, 25 to 30% stamina regeneration, just in your reserves, because it makes it really hard to get a spot start and to use other starting pitchers. Because if you want to debut a pitcher and just try him out, you really can't, because like you have to commit to buying that card and then keeping it in your rotation, not just buying it and then reselling after you're done. But with a hitter, you can do that. A hitter, you could buy a card, try him out, and then resell him. With a pitcher, you can't. What Monster just said too is like another thing that people brought up to me, which is that it feels like it's all overloaded and then you just have nothing to do for a while. And that's why you feel that way, is because the game's a collectathon. So when you finished whatever your grind currently is, you don't really have a place to go play. A lot of people go into Avengers to f around and just use the cards, but no one really plays rank with these people because the rewards they're good, but they're not Acuna, J-Ram, Adley, Corbin Carroll. They're not them. But I don't really know how to correct that issue. I guess maybe just nerf collections a little bit, to be honest. I think collections should be more sporadic. I think they personally gave out too many cards in collections this year. But I think they feel trapped by that because they know that their whole game's a collectathon. So if they're going to make it worth your time, they have to give you a ton of cards. Something we have to consider is that this is a test run, right? Like, there's no way for them to test this other than dropping it and seeing how things work. They're still figuring shit out too. No one really knows the perfect solution. Example being like Halo 2 walked so Halo 3 could run. Halo did things really well. Halo 2 built off that. Halo 3 built off Halo 2. And then it went downhill. But you learn. You live and you learn, man. And I think something that would be good for all games, not MLB specific, is stop trying to merge the lanes of comp player and casual player. Stop trying to merge those lanes. Do what Fortnite has done. Make a new competitive mode revamped and make a no builds and a builds mode. Don't try and make it like, because they tried to make things better for both parties in regular modes. Like they tried to have Siphon in regular mode. They tried to have this. You don't try and do any of that. Keep it separate. Right now, they're trying to make it like, oh, well, casuals can have fun in ranked, or, events like non-sell packs, so the casuals can, or the tryhards can like make money off events, but just keep them separate. The best example of the worst way to do this is what Call of Duty did with Caldera. They tried to make it where the game was thriving because of its ability to be a very fast-paced run and gun, like kill farm bot war type thing. They ruined it when they tried to make it. They nerfed it, making ground loot the main thing, nerfing loadouts, all of these things, making getting rid of all types of mobility and buildings and stuff like that, trying to make it more like babied. That was one of the worst things they did because it didn't give an identity to either casual players or to try-hard players. You listen to a vocal minority and you get an issue. I don't care which side it is. If it's the vocal minority of competitive players or the vocal minority of like once a week terrible players. Because I think sometimes a competitive player has a tough time differentiating what they would want and what would be better for them and what would be better for the whole game. And I think in the inverse, I think people who are shitty at the game try and mask their opinions on how to make the game easier for them behind some like, this would make it more accessible to people. They try and use this language when in reality, they're just awful at the game and they're sick of getting dicked down. So they want to make the game reduce this. They want to reduce the skill gap. I think you have to be it's a very tough job. It's not easy for MLB the Show, SDS, for anybody to try and find a middle balance of either one, right? You don't know. No one really knows the right answer. But I think what Fortnite has done has been the best, right? They recognize their core audience. They build a battle pass around that. It's a fair battle pass. They have a creative mode where people can thrive. Creators can thrive there. That's their own lane. They have ranked mode, ranked builds, ranked no builds for everyone. It's very specific. Now, they have a lot more players. They have a lot more freedom and server diversity to be able to make all these new modes. But you have to make a decision, right, if you're a company and understand what's going on here. And I think one thing that MLB the Show needs to do to separate their players is separate Road to the Show and Diamond Dynasty. Get rid of ball players. Maybe make them offline only, DD. Get rid of them. Separate, make a ranked mode, make ranked great for ranked players. Give them their thing. And everything else should be for the other players. I think the best example of that we have right now might be events, because you can go 12-0, 12-1 and the comp player gets what they want out of it. But you can also just play the mode rather casually, earn wins, get the path rewards if you're like a slower paced player, right? And also use your team the way you want. Like there's a little bit of something for everybody that way, and I think that might be the best example of like a good balance that we have so far. I'm not entirely sure, but that's it. I've played almost every single mainstream game, guys, like enough to know a lot about them except for Apex. Yeah, I agree with what Money just said. Like it's just not good for the game. It doesn't really make sense, and they have all these great legends and all these things. I just don't sets and seasons with captains, but there's ball players that like it's just weird. But I also feel like, just DD aside, taking the other angle, making ball players so DD forward has made the Road to the Show quality worse, right? Because every change that they've made has been for DD. It's not helped the Road to the Show player. And you see, Monster, here's the problem though, right? The issues they run into are when they try and make ranked tweaks for the casual player. You have to just understand that that's not where you're going to get them to play. You want them to just make casual mode better for them. You can't force people to fit in the same box. Everyone's going to go naturally and organically into the lanes they want to be in. You have to analyze where they're going naturally and then just make that better. Like Fortnite was like, Fortnite went, what are the problems right now? People are not playing Fortnite as much because they're not having fun playing against try-hard, buildy sweats, but they also want to compete in the game. They want to just play with the mechanics, like the OG Fortnite mechanics of using shield or using covered and gunning and being smart. So we'll just split it up. We have enough players to do that, so they can, but they recognized it. So Prime Fortnite is the best gaming, I think, just overall for so many reasons. If you factor in, it was great for competitive players, for casual players, for grandmas, for pro gamers, people who didn't play games. It brought everybody in. It was transcendent. So that gets number one for me. And then number two is a tie between Prime Overwatch and Halo 3, where I'd probably go with Halo 3.